Way overdue process that has to be shortened.
Many family members were angry that they were not allowed to actually witness the execution. My colleague Chuck Gowdy spent the night covering Gacy's execution that was scheduled actually for 1 minute after midnight, but occurred much later than that, about an hour later than that, because of at least one serious delay.
John Wayne Gacy was pronounced dead at 12:58 a.m.
That statement early this morning was more than 15 years in the making. 15 years after a graveyard of torture victims was found under his house, John Gacy paid the price. Gacy was executed for 33 sex-related murders, executed in this room at Stateville Prison, the former home of the old electric chair. His death by lethal injection took 18 minutes, 3 or 4 times longer than it should have, because of a major snafu, a blockage in an intravenous line that was to deliver the chemical to stop Gacy's breathing, the second of 3 chemicals.
During the second chemical, there was some problem with that chemical gelling in the line. We're not real clear whether it was the blood clotting with the needle or whether the chemical itself was gelling.
42 official and media witnesses watched the execution and watched as the curtain was closed during the foul-up.
He did not make eye contact with any of us. He looked up at the ceiling, said a few words to the director and the warden. One of the things I did notice was there was a complete change in the color of his face, and obviously he had a stoppage of the heart.
There were all these sort of shadowy things going on, and it was very creepy, but it wasn't like you saw anything bad happen.
Authorities say Gacy made a final statement that taking his life would not compensate for the loss of others, and that this was the state murdering him. 23 relatives of Gacy victims were not among the witnesses. They were put in a meeting room at the prison, found out Gacy was dead from TV news coverage, and served punch and cookies.
We weren't at all notified what was going on throughout the whole episode, and we were all a little bit distraught about that.
The cause of death to be listed on John Wayne Gacy's death certificate, homicide. Ironically, the same cause of death listed on the death certificates of his 33 victims. Albeit in Gacy's case, it was at the hands of the state. At Stateville Prison in Joliet, Chuck Gowdy, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Now, as Chuck mentioned, relatives of the victims flocked here for the execution, for the final chapter of their suffering, if you will. And following the execution, they reflected on all the years and all the pain.
I just don't feel that it solved a whole lot, seeing someone, hearing about someone's death. But it was the sentence that came down. And I feel we need to be more consistent with our laws if we expect to ever have a peaceful society.
My son should be remembered, and all those that have not been mentioned should be mentioned. And Michael Marino should be mentioned, and all those that have never been mentioned should be mentioned. Thank you, God.
I feel justice has been served. Just like Tim said, I'm glad it's over. It was a long, drawn-out, way overdue process that has to be shortened.
Were you told about what his last statement was? What was your opinion about that?
We were told nothing.
We were really told very little.
His last statement was that he felt he was innocent, he was a victim of all this?
You know, that's something he's been saying for 15 years. That's basically what I expected him to say.
That gentleman, Vito Mazzaro, the brother of a victim, appealed to the governor late yesterday afternoon so that he could witness the execution. The governor would not speak to him on the phone, and aides said he would not be allowed. He would have to stay with the other victims' families and relatives in another room. We'll have more in about 30 minutes. Live from Stateville Prison in Joliet, I'm Dick Johnson, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.